For pigmentation, Bakuji came. Then Ashwagandha, Vaja, Gugulu, Haryadaki, Amla. I could identify more than 60 Ayurvedic herbs in that shop. See, with those medicines, with those herbs, I could set up a kitchen and I could make made in Egypt Triphala and made in Egypt Trigadu. See, I was really astonished, how the ancient roots, they have fostered a rich exchange of the herbal knowledge between India, Egypt, Iran, all these products, used to be traded to Egypt from India and from Iran from that time. Look at the next slide. Look at the evolving horizons of healthcare. I live in Dubai. Dubai is always, fond of being the first, the tallest, and the largest in the world. We have the tallest building, we have the tallest hotel, we have the largest shopping mall, we have the largest man-made island. But not only in terms of infrastructure and development, UAE is developing as one of the most developed hubs of Ayurveda outside India, where Ayurveda is recognized as a medical system and which is covered under the medical insurances. See, we live in a world of paradox. On one side, we can see that we have made a lot of progress in the modern medicine. But on the other side, we have serious challenges from the NCDs and global pandemics like COVID-19. The non-communicable chronic diseases like diabetes and heart diseases, they are on the increase, and we know that 70% of the mortality rate is because of the non-communicable chronic diseases. And we are aware of the burden created by a global pandemic like COVID-19, a strain, which it has put on all the health systems. And in this scenario, I feel the oldest healing science, Ayurveda, is getting some kind of a recognition and what it deserves. In the last 2 decades or so, there has been a great excitement about Ayurveda. There is a continuing demand for and popular usage of Ayurvedic medicines, which is promoted by the Indian diaspora and the media. And thanks to the formal acceptance of Ayurveda in different countries like UAE, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, Mauritius, etc. And in all these countries, Ayurveda is recognized as a medical system under the traditional complementary and alternative medicine of the Ministry of Health. And there are several market forces, which popularize Ayurveda in the world, but keeping all those market forces aside, I feel, a great number of modern general practitioners are also getting interested in Ayurveda. And I feel the lack of so-called scientific validation, it has not affected the popularity of Ayurvedic medicine. Many a times, the trump card of clinical legitimacy can be used as a card which can override the so-called modern scientific legitimacy. Another thing, which I would like to mention, in this slide is about the healthcare delivery system is evolving as a demand-driven model rather than a consumer-driven model. If you're looking at the countries, where Ayurveda is recognized, it is not just Ayurveda which is recognized. Homeopathy is recognized, Unani is recognized, Chinese medicine is recognized. So now the patients will decide which system to choose from the basket of different medical systems available in front of them. That means, the patients have oranges and apples, in their basket. So We need to be ready to capture the complete potential of Ayurveda. Gimmicks, false promises, incomplete service delivery may rather make negative impacts. Next slide, please. Let me talk a little bit about the progressive outlook of Ayurveda in this slide. We know that, Ayurveda is not just a collection of medical treatments, it's rather a living system. If we look at the Ayurveda through the lens of modern medicine, we might miss the true essence of Ayurveda. Because Ayurveda has its own way of understanding the human body with the theory of dosha, dhatu, malamulo hi dehaha. So, and we have seen that, this Ayurveda has faced discovery like Brahma's Mritva and fading and also rediscovery in the time. We can see that, the Ayurveda is deeply rooted in the Vedic tradition and it has evolved as a rational system of medicine. Like the Hedu, Linga, Aushadha Jnana, that is the cause and effect and the treatment theory. It is how, how the Upanishads have evolved from the Vedas. Similarly, Ayurveda has evolved, from the Vedic tradition in a more rational and in a more scientific way. But at the same time, this Yukti Vipasraya, which is based on the Hedu, Linga, Aushadha Jnana, it also accepts the concepts of Deva Vipasraya and Sattvavajaya. That means, Ayurveda recognizes the diversity of the medical approaches and the healing practice. And I feel, Ayurveda is open to any system of medicine, which contributes to safe health and healing. Next slide, please. Look at the current landscape of Ayurveda. The market of India, you are already aware, the investment is over 1,000 crore, which is scattered in different areas of education, services and colleges. And this is almost, 50% of the investment in modern medicine. But if you're looking at the national budget on Ayurveda, this is only 3 to 5% of the national health budget. Look at the scenario in UAE, United Arab Emirates. I have operated clinics in many of these countries. In United Arab Emirates, it is recognized as a medical system under the Ministry of Health, under the traditional complementary and alternative medicine. And the Ministry of Health has qualifying examinations for the Ayurvedic practitioners and also for the therapist. Only a qualified Ayurveda doctor and therapist will be able to perform an Ayurvedic treatment in those countries. It is not treated as a massage system, it is treated as a medical system. And Madam will be talking more about, the status of Ayurveda in Sri Lanka. And Nepal and Bhutan, it has a good status. Malaysia, it is recognized as a medical system. I was holding a license from Ministry of Health Malaysia from 2014. Now the practitioners can register with the TCAM department of Ministry of Health Malaysia. I think a minimum 5 years experience is required there. USA, I teach in USA, I teach at the Southern Californian University of Health Sciences. Though Ayurveda is not recognized as a medical system there, Ayurveda is being taught and practiced in different states. You look at Mauritius, excellent status, it is recognized as a medical system. And the government operates clinics. The government offers free Ayurvedic medicines in Mauritius. And there are Ayurvedic practitioners in the medical service. You take Singapore, Australia, mostly it is practiced as a wellness system. But in Australia, I have seen a very interesting approach, by the Ayurvedic doctors there. Most of them, they practice the therapies in the morning hours and they consult the patients in the afternoon hours. It's a place, where there are minimum wages issues, there are restrictions to visas and all. And I have opened and operated clinics in countries like Djibouti, Tanzania, Greece, and Ayurveda is more focused on the wellness treatments there. And in Germany, some of the allopathic research centers and hospitals, they offer some, they conduct some Ayurvedic research. Next slide, please. See, Ayurvedic popularity, it is increasing around the world, which is influenced by several trends. One of them is the integration of Ayurveda with the modern medicine. And as we know that, there is a growing interest of integrating Ayurveda to the conventional medicine, especially in the treatment of chronic and non-communicable diseases. Historically, Ayurveda has contributed to the modern medicine. For example, you take how the rhinoplasty paved the way for plastic surgery. At the same time, there are several parallels which we can see across the system, like the pulse diagnosis, vital forces, the theory of 5 elements. So we can understand that, there was a knowledge exchange which was happening between the Ayurvedic system, the Unani medicine, and the Greco-Arabic systems, and the modern medicine, of course. See, the current efforts, it involves selectively adopting elements of Ayurveda and force-fitting them into the modern medicine. Selectively adopting elements of Ayurveda and force-fitting them into the modern medicine. See, this raises an important question. Will the integration of these elements to the modern medicine, will it benefit the science? I feel first and foremost, we must embrace a collaborative approach rather than striving for integration. We should try for a collaborative approach of Ayurveda to the modern medicine instead of striving for a mere integration. Next slide, please. The personalized healthcare, more patients are looking for personalized healthcare, which aligns, perfectly with the Ayurvedic individualized treatment. We have studied that, every human being is a unique individual, having full of, idiosyncrasies and peculiarities. You are different from anyone who live at present. You are different from anyone who lived in the past. You are different from anyone who might live in the future also. Ayurveda explains swastha as svedishtadi, swasmin tishtadi. Established in the self is swastha. The self here is the ego, not the Freudian theory of ego, but the power of identity which makes you yourself, which makes you different from him or her, is the ego or the ahamkara, which we call it. So according to Ayurveda, there is no common medicine for a disease, as you are an individual and your constitution varies from one another. So the ready off the shelf medicine might not have the desired effect. Next slide, please. The scientific studies, they are validating the Ayurvedic practices, which is helping to bridge the gap between the traditional knowledge and the modern medicine. Whether we see Ayurvedic as a scientific system, it often depends on how we define a science. We know that, the earliest health conference which happened in the world was recorded in the Charaka Samhita at the Himalayas, where, the physicians from different regions, from the south of India, north of India, from areas like Balhiga, which is considered as the present Iran, they all gathered together to compose the Ayurveda, sharing their regional health wisdoms. So this collaborative spirit contributed to the evolution of Ayurveda. So making it an inclusive system or an adaptive system. See, one of the core principles in Ayurveda is understanding the cause and effect relationship, as I mentioned previously. In our Ayurvedic practice, we might see that some of the diseases disappear by itself. Some of the diseases, vanishes by itself. We use a terminology like yadruchaya. As Charaka Samhita emphasizes, if an Ayurvedic practitioner cannot rationalize the outcome of a treatment through the lens of cause and effect, they are essentially practicing a guesswork. So he continues, an ignorant physician cures a patient by chance whose lifespan is certain, but he or she may kill hundreds having uncertain lifespan. We should not be in that group. We should be true saviors of the life. So I feel, instead of judging Ayurveda only by the modern scientific standards, we should appreciate the unique understanding of human body in an Ayurvedic perspective. And we should explore the core principles of Ayurveda based on the dosha theory rather than, the modern scientific molds. Next slide, please. About digitalization and telemedicine, I'm trying to work on a new business project in this angle. When I traveled, through different countries, I have seen that there is a basic understanding of Ayurveda among the people. Most of them, they are familiar about the terminology Ayurveda. There is an interest in the market. There is a basic awareness in the market, which probably can be converted to an interest and to a desire probably. On the other side, we know that there are 5 lakh Ayurvedic practitioners in India, out of which many of them are true healers. And the world, do not know about them. So when I'm thinking as a business person, there is an interest, which can be converted into a demand in the global scenario. On the other side, we have a huge supply available. How do we connect, this demand and supply? There is only one way, bringing technology integrated into Ayurveda. If technology can be integrated into finance and banking, why not, integrating technology into Ayurveda? Next slide, please. Next slide. See, I want to talk a little bit about, the artificial intelligence. See, we can, imagine an Ayurvedic healer, sitting in the river banks, chanting slokas, and, identifying the nature's rhythm and understanding the unique body types and suggesting medicines which align with the nature. Now, imagine of a new healer, Dr. Hemant has, put a slide, a surgeon doing surgery in a modern theater. But this new Vaidya, new healer, they are not in traditional robes, they are not chanting Ayurvedic slokas, they are not studying, Raghuvamsham or Lakhusiddhanta Kaubudhi. Instead, they are working on, complex algorithms, trying to decode, the vast amount of data on the Ayurvedic book in the diagnosis and the treatment. See, we have seen that, the diagnosis and the treatment in an Ayurvedic process is extremely complex. We need to identify which dosha is involved. We need to understand, which is the dhatu involved, which is the upadhatu involved, which is the srotas, which is the guna of the dosha, which is vitiated in that condition. And in the treatment plan also, there is a step-by-step strategy, there is a stage-by-stage action plan. So according to me, I feel, the diagnosis and treatment in Ayurveda is many a times playing a master series chess game. For example, you are imagining a pitta condition. An Ayurvedic Vaidya, like Dr. Sivalsan sir, might give Gluchadi Kashayam Avibhati Jurnam, converting it into a Vada pitta condition. See, innocent Vada was, sitting simply, we provoke Vada, by giving Tiktarasam, Rukshagunam, Gluchadi Kashayam, converted into a Vada pitta condition. And then we might give, a Mahadiktam Kashayam to balance Vada and Pitta together. So it's like, playing a Master Series chess game. See, learned physicians, like Dr. Mahadevan or Nambudiri sir, they might be able to decode all this understanding, very quickly. So how can we do that? See, if AI and machine learning can understand the diagnosis pattern and the treatment pattern of 1,000 cases of rheumatoid arthritis by Dr. Mahadevan. So the next time, AI will be able to guide us, based on the data, it has received. Right now, I was speaking to Mr. Sujit, about the lack of, the data. Now, as we can see right now, the Ayurvedic data, it is scattered in different silos, in different groups. We probably, need to create, a data lake, or we need to connect, between these silos to have, all this information available. Next slide, please. Next slide. The Ayurvedic industry, it is experiencing a major shift as it is started focusing the younger consumers, especially the millennials and the Gen Z. The younger consumers, they are more open-minded, they are connected through the social media, and they have a better understanding about, the different cultures and all. So we probably need to communicate Ayurveda in a slightly different way to the younger generation. Next slide, please. The Ayurvedic emphasis on the body-mind health. We know that, the life is a combination of mind, body, and soul. According to Ayurveda, emotions and mind, it cannot be separated from the body. It is a part of the continuum. So Ayurveda illustrates this bond, analogous to the ghee in a pot concept. When the ghee is heated, the pot also gets heated. When we pour, ghee into the heated pot, the ghee melts. So similarly, the issues of the body is transferred to the mind, and the issues of the mind is transferred to the body. So Ayurveda also recognizes, the dynamic nature of health and diseases. The modern medicine, they call about, homeostasis. Ayurveda talks about, homeodynamics. Even, in modern medicine, some of us, we say that, it's a disease process. Disease is not static. Health is also not static. Next slide, please. Yes. See, to make Ayurveda modern, or to make, Ayurveda contemporary, it is essential to respect, the roots while allowing it to evolve. We know that, the traditional Ayurveda, authentic Ayurveda, pure Ayurveda, we mostly say it is Samhita-based Ayurveda. At the same time, we need to remember that, these Samhitas were written in 700 BC or in 300 BC or 700 AD. So, we must focus on the core pillars of Ayurveda, as I have mentioned previously, that is Tattva, that is the fundamental principles of Ayurveda, the Shastra, that is the interpretation of the Tattva, or the human understanding of the Tattva, and thirdly, the Vyavahara, that is the practical application of these principles. And according to me, Ayurveda should not be treated, like an artifact or like a relic in a museum. Its practices and application, it must evolve guided by the core principles of Ayurveda. Next slide, please. I will finish in another 5 minutes or... Let me take this opportunity to address, some of the challenges in Ayurveda. See, according to me, the efforts for the propagation and the promotion of Ayurveda is nothing new. Several of the Ayurvedic textbooks, were translated to Arabic language in 700 AD itself. Or, the physician Kankayana is believed to be from the Iran or the Middle East area. So we need to critically evaluate, why Ayurveda couldn't get its roots in another country other than the Indian subcontinent. We need to evaluate, whether Ayurveda in its current form ready for globalization. One key factor, which I like to mention is about the difference in desha, which plays a crucial role in the Ayurvedic treatment. For example, while treating a Vata disease in Kerala, a physician knowingly or unknowingly consider the Anupa desha of Kerala and will give medicines, which are mostly Vata Kapha balancing in nature. Applying the same principle in a Jangala desha like UAE or Dubai, it might backfire. Same way, probably in Chennai. So we need to consider a desha-based dosha approach while taking Ayurveda outside India. We often assume that the Ayurvedic approach is like the Ritucharya, it applies everywhere. Say like in a country like UAE, which is above the 23-degree latitude, sun never rises in the east, sun rises in the southeast. So only India has, these clear, distinction of Dashinayana and the Uttarayana. I'll tell the story of a patient, a patient who was suggested to take Tippali every day for COVID. And, he came to my clinic, with a severe bleeding condition per annum. Now imagine, he was taking Tippali at 50 degrees centigrade. I'll tell you, another experience of mine, I was looking at my blood sugar level. It was showing around, 120, 130, pre-diabetic as per modern medicine. I used this as an opportunity to consume, some of the ever-trending, Shilajit Rasayanam. But by the time, I ordered, the Shilajit Rasayanam from India, and by the time it reached there, it was extreme summer there. I started using Shilajit Rasayana. My sugar level, went down, but I was feeling, extremely tired. See, Acharya says, Tishnamshu Radidishnamshu Grishme Samshivadi Avayat Pratyaham Shiyade Sleshma Tena Vayussavartade. So every day, Kapha is decreasing and Vada is increasing. Imagine, I'm taking Shilahuam Kadudishnoshnam Kadubhagam Rasayanam. Imagine, I take, Shilajud Rasayanam in an extreme summer. So there are several challenges, which Dr. Hemant has mentioned about the need of evolving, the Shastra Sathya Rogas, how can we treat them? Look at, another scope is about the registration of Ayurvedic products. Ayurveda is recognized in UAE, for example, for the last 20 years' time. Hardly, around 107 proprietary herbal products are registered in the country, while there are 250 to 300 homeopathic products, which are available in the market. Out of this 107, none of the generic products are registered. Himalaya will register their products, Dabur will register their products. Who will register, the generic products of Ayurveda? Next slide. Let me conclude here. Ayurveda is assuming an important role in the field of traditional, complementary and alternative medicine across the globe. The future of Ayurveda, it depends on finding a balance between the tradition and innovation. As a holder of traditional knowledge of Ayurveda, India can play the role of a holistic leader. And I feel, the globalization offers enormous opportunities for all of us in the field of Ayurveda, and only we will be blamed for losing such opportunities. Thank you and Jai Hind.